This just in, the baseball season just got a little more interesting. Unvaccinated Mets and Yankees players will not be able to play in home games this season because of current New York City vaccine mandates. Now, this is the same rule that has kept Kyrie Irving off the floor in Brooklyn all season long. In addition to home games, those unvaccinated players will also be unable to play games in Toronto because of Canadian vaccine mandates. Let's welcome in Jim Bowden to talk about this news. I guess we should have put two and two together, Jim, with what's going on with Kyrie all this season, but we didn't. Now that we're realizing, oh, this is a thing for the Mets and Yankees, what is your reaction to it?
Well, it is going to be a significant issue right now, especially for the Yankees, Amanda, because I'm told two of their big hitters in the middle of a lineup are not vaccinated, one of which is reportedly Aaron Judge, although he did not comment it when he was asked about it today, so it's not confirmed. But we're told there's two hitters in the middle lineup that aren't vaccinated. So it's tough enough if you're just going to Toronto, but if they're not available for home games in New York, that's going to be a big disadvantage for the Yankees. So this is a huge problem. Randy Levine, the president of the Yankees, is working with the government in New York City to do what he can do to try to get this law changed. But right now it is what it is. Major League Baseball is aware of it. Neither team is commenting right now. But if you look ahead, when you talk about two star players for the Yankees, you take them away from home games and then you take them away from road games in Toronto. That would be a significant disadvantage. Now, of course, between now and then, the unvaccinated players can decide to get vaccinated, or maybe between now and then, which is, by the way, April 7th against the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium, perhaps the law gets changed by then, hopefully. On the other side with the Mets, Amanda, same issue. They've got several players apparently that are unvaccinated, so that's an issue they're going to have to deal with as well. So this is becoming a huge problem with only a few weeks away from opening day.
So take us in to the managers in the front office and sort of, I mean, it's not like you can come up with that much of a contingency plan because you're going to keep these guys. Look, there are contracts in place, and I mean, they're still going to be able to play in road games. But how do you try to handle this if this law stays in place, or rule, I should say?
Well, right now, as a GM, a former GM, or a manager, you're going to prepare for the worst, which is you've got to sit there and prepare for your players that are unvaccinated today and the strong possibility that the law doesn't get changed in the city of New York. And you have to figure out, how am I going to win anyway? Because those players will go on the restricted list and won't get paid. Now, again, the players have the choice. They could get vaccinated and the problem goes away. But I do think you make sure you have enough depth. And I think that's something that's extremely important. And maybe even, after Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone talk to the players involved and get a sense if they'd be willing to reconsider their position, if they come out of those meetings and the player behind the scenes says, look, I'm not getting vaxxed no matter what. If they decide to do what Kyrie Irving does, well, then a team like the Yankees are going to have to sit there and figure out a plan B. Now, maybe you go out and sign a fourth outfielder you weren't planning on signing. Perhaps maybe you promote a young player that wasn't ready, but you definitely have to prepare for it and make sure you have enough depth, because this could become a reality, as the Brooklyn Nets certainly have learned this year.
Yeah, no, that's just what I was about to say. You hear it and you think, oh, well, they're probably going to come up with something, or maybe the rule will change. That has not been the case for the Nets and Kyrie all season. We know they're dealing with it. They just got fined about $50,000 for having him in the locker room when he was unvaccinated. When it comes to if this stays in place, I mean, you got the Yankees and the Mets are tied right now, 11-1 odds, the third best odds to win the World Series. What are we looking at, how this could impact those teams this season if this all stays in place?
Well, if it's star players like Aaron Judge, it's a major impact. And the problem we have is that as a manager or a GM, you don't want to ever force anyone to take a vaccination they don't want to take. It's everybody's individual choice. I think you certainly can, make sure that they're well educated from the CDC, make sure that the teammates help kind of guide them in terms of why it would be a good idea to do it. But if you have a certain star player or star players that decide, no matter what, I'm not getting vaccinated like Kyrie Irving, then, look, you got to support them. And you just got to have enough depth. And yes, it can hurt your chances. And if you want to look at the Yankees and Mets, specifically, as you mentioned, they're going to be in pennant races. I mean, you look at the AL East, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Boston, and the Yankees. All four teams are capable of winning the division or making the wild card. And one or two games may end up costing one of those teams getting into the postseason. And the same thing with the Mets. They're in a tough division with the Atlanta Braves, and how strong the National League West is. The wild card races are going to be difficult as well. So, every game you lose is going to be big. So this has to be managed and well thought out. You don't want to get to April 7th and not be prepared. So again, I think you tried to convince the players that it would be a good idea to get vaccinated. If they still don't want to do it, and the law doesn't change, then you know what, Amanda? Then it's the next man up. You don't have a choice.
Jim Bowden, we appreciate it. We know that you'll be following this closely, and we'll be following you closely as well to get your insight on exactly what unfolds here before we get to opening day. The hashtag that David Sampson always uses, hashtag wait to see, that fits in very well with this particular situation there. Again, Mets and Yankees, unvaccinated players unable to play at home, also in Toronto. As of right now, make sure to download and follow to hear the latest from David Sampson. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.